Have you ever wondered about the history of James Gunn? When you think of the modern age of superhero movies, quirky, heartfelt, explosive, and often laced with offbeat humor, one name stands out like a talking raccoon in space: James Gunn. His journey from writing horror comedy scripts to directing billion-dollar blockbusters is not just a Hollywood success story, it's the tale of a genre rebel who carved a unique niche in an industry notorious for playing it safe. Let's dive into the story of James Gunn, the punk rock auteur of superhero cinema. Welcome to History Wonder. James Francis Gunn Jr. was born on August 5, 1966 in St. Louis, Missouri, into a large Catholic family. He was one of 6 children, and creative energy was practically baked into his DNA. His brothers Sean and Brian would also go on to careers in Hollywood. Sean is an actor best known for his roles in Gilmore Girls and fittingly Guardians of the Galaxy, and Brian as a screenwriter and producer. Growing up in a household of siblings meant there was always some kind of drama or performance happening. Gunn has spoken about being a shy kid who loved comic books, particularly Spider-Man, Superman, and The Flash. He also adored horror movies, punk rock, and storytelling, all of which would later influence his cinematic style. After graduating from St. Louis University High School, Gunn attended St. Louis University and then earned a Master of Fine Arts from Columbia University in New York, studying prose writing. But Hollywood, with all of its chaos and opportunity, soon called. Gunn's early career was deeply entrenched in the bizarre and beloved world of Troma Entertainment, a low-budget, high-shock studio known for campy, gore-filled cult classics like The Toxic Avenger. His first credited work was writing 1996's Romeo and Juliet, a twisted Shakespearean adaptation with incest, body horror, and buckets of fake blood. It was insane, irreverent, and thoroughly Troma, and it earned Gunn a bit of an underground following. Working with Troma gave Gunn the DIY sensibility that would define his later films. He learned how to write, produce, and market movies on a shoestring budget, often doing several jobs himself. The Troma years were Gunn's crash course in the film industry, and while few people have actually seen Romeo and Juliet, it put him on the creative map. Gunn broke into the mainstream Hollywood as a screenwriter. One of his first big jobs was penning the screenplay for 2002's live-action Scooby-Doo, which, despite mixed reviews, was a box office hit and remains a cult favorite. He also wrote its 2004 sequel, Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed. But Gunn didn't stop at talking dogs. In 2004, he wrote the screenplay for Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead. While the original George A. Romero version is a horror classic, Gunn's reimagining brought a kinetic energy and biting social commentary that fans and critics praised. The film helped revive the zombie genre and cemented Gunn as more than just the guy who wrote fart jokes for Scooby-Doo. In 2006, Gunn stepped behind the camera to direct his first major feature, Slither, a gooey, hilarious, and grotesque horror comedy that paid homage to 80s B-movies like The Blob. Starring Nathan Fillion and Elizabeth Banks, Slither follows a small town overrun by alien parasites and is just as ridiculous and wonderful as it sounds. Although not a commercial hit, Slither became an instant cult classic. Its practical effects, sharp writing, and genre-savvy humor earned Gunn a legion of devoted horror fans. The film showed that he could craft a compelling story while juggling gore, gags, and genuine emotion. Before joining the Marvel machine, Gunn made another offbeat superhero film, 2010's Super, starring Rainn Wilson and Elliot Page. The movie follows a loser turned vigilante who dons a makeshift costume and fights crime with a wrench. It's dark, uncomfortable, and morally ambiguous. Basically the anti-Avengers. Super flew under the radar, but further showcased Gunn's fascination with flawed heroes. His protagonists weren't billionaires or aliens, they were broken, bizarre, and often unlikable. Yet they had heart, and Gunn always found a way to make audiences care about them. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 2014, Marvel Studios took a massive gamble. They gave James Gunn the reins to Guardians of the Galaxy, a relatively obscure Marvel property featuring a talking raccoon, a sentient tree, and a band of space outlaws. Expectations were cautious at best. This was not Iron Man or Captain America. But Guardians exploded onto the scene with heart, humor, and a killer soundtrack. Gunn's direction brought a fresh, irreverent tone to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He infused the film with his Troma roots and genre love, balancing laugh-out-loud moments with emotional gut punches, especially the now iconic scene of group sacrifice and the revelation of Peter Quill's mother's death. The film grossed over $770 million worldwide, turned Chris Pratt into a leading man, and made Hooked on a Feeling a chart topper again. More importantly, it proved that James Gunn could take weird characters and turn them into mainstream heroes. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in 2017 doubled down on the character development and emotional arcs. While not as universally praised as the first film, it showcased Gunn's growth as a storyteller. Themes of fatherhood, loss, and found family took center stage, especially in the touching relationship between Peter Quill and Yondu. Then came Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in 2023, the final installment in Gunn's trilogy and arguably the most personal. It explored Rocket Raccoon's tragic backstory, a daring move for a CGI animal, and tackled themes of trauma, redemption, and self-worth. Gunn's trilogy closed with a deeply emotional send-off, solidifying the Guardians as some of the most beloved characters in the MCU. In 2018, Gunn was fired by Disney over old tweets, some dark and controversial jokes from years prior. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Many cast members, including Dave Bautista and Chris Pratt, publicly supported Gunn. Thousands of fans signed petitions. Warner Brothers swooped in, offering Gunn a shot at rebooting a struggling DC property. And just like that, Gunn was making the Suicide Squad. Meanwhile, after months of reconsideration, Disney reversed the course and rehired Gunn in 2019 to finish the Guardians trilogy. It was a dramatic chapter in his career, but it also reinforced Gunn's reputation as a fiercely original voice who stood by his creative convictions and one whose talents studios couldn't afford to lose. In 2021, Gunn unleashed the Suicide Squad, a gory, hilarious, and surprisingly heartfelt R-rated romp that was everything the 2016 original wasn't. It revitalized the brand and introduced breakout characters like Peacemaker, played by John Cena. Peacemaker received its own spin-off HBO Max series in 2022, with Gunn writing and directing much of it. The show was a critical and fan favorite, again blending absurdity with genuine emotional depth. Then, in a shocking twist of comic book fate, James Gunn was appointed co-chairman and co-CEO of DC Studios in 2022, alongside producer Peter Safran. His first major project in this role, writing and directing Superman. Just recently released, Superman delivers a fresh and emotionally grounded take on the iconic hero, blending classic mythos with modern storytelling flair. James Gunn directs it with a clear reverence for both the comic legacy and the cinematic spectacle. The film strikes a compelling balance between heart, hope, and high-flying action. The lead performance captures Clark Kent's duality with surprising nuance, portraying both the burden of immense power and the enduring optimism that defines Superman. Visually stunning and thematically rich, it establishes the Man of Steel as a beacon for a new generation while offering enough Easter eggs and bold choices to keep longtime fans talking. For a guy who started out writing scripts for low-budget gore fests, James Gunn has become the architect of two cinematic universes, a feat few directors could claim. So what makes a James Gunn movie a James Gunn movie? Unconventional heroes. From tree creatures to mentally unstable vigilantes, Gunn loves the misfits and the outsiders. Emotional weight. Despite the jokes and explosions, his stories are always rooted in real emotional stakes: grief, abandonment, love, and loyalty. Killer soundtracks. From the awesome mix in Guardians to glam rock in Peacemaker, Gunn uses music not just as a mood but as a narrative tool. Genre blending. Horror, sci-fi, comedy, action, it's all fair game. Sharp dialogue and irreverent humor. A Gunn script pops with sarcasm, one-liners, and banter, but never loses sight of the character's humanity. James Gunn redefined what superhero storytelling could look like. He brought weirdness to the mainstream, gave heartfelt arcs to characters nobody cared about, and proved that genre films could still have soul. He is also a symbol of redemption, both personally and professionally. His ability to bounce back from controversy and still command some of the biggest projects in Hollywood speaks to his talent and resilience. From Troma to DC Studios, James Gunn has built a career on taking risks and somehow turning long shots into legends. Thanks for watching. What topics in history have you wondered about? Comment below and let us know what videos you would like to see, and be sure to like and subscribe.